South Korea and the U.S. could consider postponing their joint exercises next spring.
Air power! Air power! We go together! We go together!
Moon's gesture to the north is raising expectations next year's Winter Olympics could bring forth a positive change in inter-Korean ties. But will the drills be postponed, and more importantly, will Pyongyang respond? Woo Jung-hee helps us gauge the possibilities.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in reached out his hand to North Korea. If the North halts its provocations until after the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, then South Korea and the U.S. could consider postponing their joint exercises next spring. The two countries' military authorities are discussing the matter, and their combined forces command said Wednesday that it's committed to South Korea's decision on the exercises. But of course, this is to happen only if the North halts its provocations. The presidential office of Cheongwade says if Pyongyang carries out additional provocations, then that could worsen the international sentiment toward the regime and lead to additional UN resolutions. And that's why this proposal becomes a strong message to the North that additional provocations shouldn't take place.
The South Korean government is trying to take the initiative to reduce tensions and concerns of a possible war through the Olympics. The delay of the joint drills just applies for the duration of the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, but if this becomes a good opportunity to open up communications between the North and the US, then maybe we could see more dialogue.
But whether North Korea will show a positive response or any response at all to this proposal is another question, and expert views vary. Some say the government can't expect a response from North Korea, so it's still uncertain whether the drills will be postponed. But this expert sees a response from the North as a possibility.
Pyongyang has declared it has completed its nuclear development, so there's a low possibility that it will carry out nuclear missile tests in the near future. As Pyongyang is feeling the need for dialogue, it may even announce its participation in the Games. It's getting tired of economic sanctions and military pressure.
What's currently under review is only the delay of the drills, not the downsizing. And the government left it as uncertain whether the drills could be further postponed, even after Winter Olympics are held peacefully.
It depends entirely on how North Korea behaves, according to the South Korean president, but
한미양국도 올림픽 기간 동안 예정돼 있는 합동 군사 훈련을 연기하는 문제를 검토할 수 있습니다. 이는 이미 나는 미국 측에 그런 제안을 했고 미국 측에서도 지금 검토하고 있습니다.
President Moon said such a move is to reduce tensions on the Korean peninsula ahead of the upcoming 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics, as well as to encourage North Korea to attend the Games, which will help in creating a conducive atmosphere toward inter-Korean and U.S.-North Korean dialogue. These comments were made during an exclusive interview with U.S. broadcaster NBC News on Tuesday. While the president had previously mentioned potentially reducing the size of the joint exercises in order to bring Pyongyang to the table for dialogue, this is the first time he actually opened up about asking Washington to consider the possibility. According to a high-ranking Blue House official on Wednesday morning, such proposal was inevitable for making the upcoming games safe, and the postponement of the military exercises would only be limited to the duration of the Winter Olympics. He also added it's absolutely critical for North Korea to completely halt its military provocations over the next couple of months, warning that otherwise the plan to postpone the exercises would likely get annulled. The 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics will be held from February 9th to the 25th, and the Paralympics will be held from March 9th to the 18th, which may overlap with the biggest of the joint exercises that are held each spring, known as Key Resolve and Full Eagle, which involve more than 300,000 U.S. and South Korean soldiers. On matters regarding safety, President Moon said that Seoul is closely coordinating with the U.S. in operating a cyber response team to deter any cyber threats from Pyongyang. However, President Moon emphasized he doesn't believe the regime will try to disrupt the Olympics and guarantee the safety of those taking part in the Games. He was even optimistic on the idea of North Korea eventually showing up at the quadrennial event at the very last minute, which, according to the president, is, quote, as they always do. Hwang Ho-jun, Arirang News.
While tensions between Washington and Pyongyang died down somewhat recently, the fundamental problem still exists. Authorities in Washington are putting the squeeze on the regime to return to dialogue, emphasizing it won't recognize North Korea as a nuclear power. Lee Ji-won has the full story.
Top U.S. officials are once again raising the pressure on North Korea. Speaking in Ottawa Tuesday after a meeting with Canadian Foreign Minister Chrystia Freeland, U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said talks with North Korea will not be possible unless the regime shows it's ready to talk. He said the U.S. is waiting for a sign of that and that the pressure campaign will continue until the regime is willing to give up its nuclear weapons and allow for verification.
The White House supports diplomatic talks. The observation that's being made, and I would agree with the observation, is we're waiting on North Korea to come to that conclusion. And until they do, the pressure campaign will only intensify.
Tillerson added that the international community seeks to send Pyongyang a unified message that it will not accept North Korea as a nuclear weapons state and that it shares one goal, the complete and verifiable denuclearization of the Korean peninsula. And as part of the effort, the two diplomats agreed to co-host a meeting of foreign ministers in Vancouver next month. White House National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster also added on to the pressure in an interview Tuesday with the BBC. He said that the U.S. has to be prepared, if necessary, to compel the denuclearization of North Korea, even without their cooperation. Though the U.S. wants the resolution to be peaceful, McMaster echoed President Donald Trump, saying that all options are on the table. McMaster also made the case for a denuclearized Korean peninsula in an interview with CBS on Tuesday, saying that the U.S. cannot tolerate the risk of coexisting with a nuclear Pyongyang. He said there's no time to repeat the failed pattern of the past, that now is the time to talk, and that Washington will continue its policy of putting military, economic, and diplomatic pressure on the regime.